Hello everybody, this is YZF Mike here, going to go through doing a demonstration of how to set up the uh, ProtoThrottle with a Athearn locomotive today. This is going to be the Athearn Genesis SD70 ACE Tier 2. So we're going to go through and just do the demonstration how to set up the locomotive. So very first thing, locomotive address is 9082. So that's the number on the side. That's what we're going to program it for. We're going to make it DCC only. Pro tip, disabling this to make it DCC only will help in case of power surges on a layout that the locomotives will not just randomly take off. Next is the motor tab. I set the momentum to maximum for my locomotive with deceleration as well. Now, within the guide, they recommend, I think it's about 125 for acceleration, about 100 for deceleration. I myself just like it to work out better this way, but you may adjust as you see fit. And lastly, the motor speed step deadman. Just have to put that as a step of 2. Basic speed control we don't use. We actually use the speed table function map. So we go through and actually separate the headlights out for prototypical effects. So we change the backup light from F0 to F6. We leave function 3, F24. We change FX5 to FX6. And then FX6, we change that to function 27. And lastly, the latter two, we can leave those alone. Dimmer, F7, we'll leave that as factory. Same thing for mute. Independent train brake, we'll leave that as is as well. However, you do need to make sure you uncheck these two options. And as for me, for doing my operations at the club, I go through and actually disable all of the following functions since I do not use these. The independent train brake function itself, some people will bounce between the two. I do not, but again, that is to your discretion. And we'll go through and finalize the rest of these features here. Majority of these are not necessary at all whatsoever. Mainly, this is just your special sound effects. All right, so for lights, we need to actually go through and set them up to be prototype style. So what we need to do is change it from dyno to dimmable. And we'll leave it as use phase A disabled. And we'll check the box there. And same thing for backup headlight. Change that to dimmable and check that. Hyper flash rate, I actually don't do any of these at all. For brightness, we'll go through and set that to a set level across the board. And actually with this, we'll just max that right out. I leave everything else alone. With the alt analog controls, we go through and actually disable all of those, and I simply uncheck every option there. Consist, won't change that, there's no need to. Advance, we'll go through and add the independent brake rate, which is 127. We change this to subtract valve from baseline braking rate, and train brake rate is 25. Sound, this is where everyone can adjust things. One of the very first things to do is the engine RPM interlock is set to manual control. Engine auto start enabled is disabled. Uh, Turning on dynamic brakes by prototype is actually to drop to notch 4. We'll leave everything else alone here for the features. Uh, what I do is take the emergency stop engine shutdown instead of idle. And then true idle, we're going to switch that from disabled to enabled. And then I go through and disable these sounds so they do not work. The click and the clack, I just simply turn those off. As for the volume control, we go through and I actually bring those down. This is something, again, to your own usage as you like to do. I'll leave that there. Dynamic brake. I'll bring that down. Coupler valve, we'll leave that. Train brake, apply. Actually works very good, especially if you have power issues on your layout. This does not have the brake continuously locked in. So we'll go through, we'll zero out the rest here. CVs, I do not adjust those whatsoever. Alternate sound functions, most of the time you can just simply leave this alone and you'll be perfectly fine. Equalizer, I leave that alone. With dynamic digital exhaust, you need to go through and take throttle sensitivity and zero that out. The rest can be left alone. Reverb, definitely max out that horn. Everything else can be individualized to how you see fit. Automatic sound control, I make sure that the brake squeal itself is turned off. That way you don't have a dragging brakes going all the way through. And then with these, I just simply disable them. But again, you may leave them as you see fit. Legacy function mapping, I do not touch. And then ID, there's nothing to adjust here. So lastly, what you're going to do is you're going to do write changes in all sheets of everything that we did. Now it is complete. Let's go through and test out and see how this completes. Now we're going to go through and do a demonstration of the ProtoThrottle with Tsunami 2. So first thing, set up the ProtoThrottle. Okay, we'll do a horn check. Good. Next thing you need to do, put the reverser to forward or reverse. And go from idle to notch 1. And we'll go through, we'll do a headlight check. That's good. We'll do rear light check. With the ProtoThrottle, I'm having some kind of an issue here where it's just bright all the time, but will vary based on decoders. Alright, let's go through a demonstration. We'll put it in notch 1 first. And we'll go through notch 2, notch 3, 4, and 5. We'll bring it down. We'll apply the brake. Again, change the reverser, put it in reverse. We'll go through and actually move to notch 4 with the brake applied. And then we'll let go of the brake. Apply the brake, put it in reverse, neutral. We'll take the brake off, put it forward, and we'll just put it in notch 1 again. Alright, and that is a demonstration of the ProtoThrottle with Tsunami 2. Now, with the ProtoThrottle, you do need to configure your notch settings. With Tsunami 2's, that is based on every 7 speed steps. So notch 8 maxes out at speed step 49, and for notch 1, I have that set at speed step number 1. So I have that real slow crawl. I do not have a speedometer, so I do not know the speeds of the locomotive, but I would say it's approximately 50 miles an hour scale speed that the Tsunami 2s will go right out of the box. Thank you for the time to view this video, and let me know in the comments if anything you like. Have a good day. Bye.